What is up, you guys? I'm sure most of you guys have heard this song. This is the original one right here I'm about to play. So that's a really cool sound, and a lot of you have requested this from me. So I finally just sat down yesterday with some of my free time now that I'm in holiday season, and I just kind of worked in Massive, and I made a bunch of patches, and this is what I came up with. So it's the closest I've seen so far. It's just such a unique sound. I'm not sure. I think if I'd spent more time on it, I could have gone much closer. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you guys a MIDI. I'm gonna give you guys a bunch of the patches that I made to get to this sound. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make this one right here. But I'm also gonna give you. Let me see if I can find my folder here. So all this stuff that says from here to pretty much here, I'm gonna give you guys all these patches. So they're all just like little variations, and I made like 9 patches to get to the point, or 8 patches to get to this point. So I spent a lot of time in Massive just kind of trying to figure it out. And for me, I would have gone about making this with layers. You know, I would have had like a high layer and a mid layer and a low layer, but a lot of you kept requesting for me to do it in one patch, so I definitely accepted that challenge. And there's a lot of stuff I gotta show you. So all you're gonna need for this is just Massive, EQ, a stereo imager, so and some reverb and gate stuff. So if you're an any DAW, you can do this. It doesn't have to be Ableton specific, so as long as you have Massive, you're good. So and I'll show you guys the MIDI notes right here just in case you want those. So if you want this, pause it, take a look at what notes I'm using here, and that's it. So I'm not sure if these are correct. I kind of just found these on the internet somewhere, and I saw a lot of tutorials on this song first, and none of them were really like that great. So you know, I hope mine is the closest. And so let's just get started, because it's going to take a long time to get through Massive stuff. So, and again, you can download the MIDI and those patches I was telling you about from my Facebook page. That's just where I manage all my downloads. And let's see. So, okay. Let's just start with voicing, because that's where I like to start with these kind of things. So just make sure you're on 16:2. Monophone, trigger always, pan position. You're going to want to have it mono, because we want Massive to be mono, but then we'll make it wider with stereo imagers and reverb. So inside of Massive, I just want it to be very mono. So that's all I did in this window. Now let's go to the Oscillator tab. So I usually do this step last. This is the very last thing I do. But if you want to change it right now to look like mine, then you can do that. I believe you can get this sound with one oscillator, so you don't need all these extra oscillators, but you know, they just add in more color as more waves start to combine to make one sound. So, but if you're using multiple oscillators and you want it to kind of sound more gelled, then this is definitely what I go for. So I hope while I was talking you started to copy these down. So oscillator 1 is just all the way to the to underneath 360. Oscillator 2 is kind of past 270. Oscillator 3 is a little bit before 180, and the modulation oscillator, which modulates these signals together or something like that, is slightly past where the oscillator 2 is, so they're not exactly aligned. And a quick tip when you're using this, you don't want to always align your oscillators on this like to be exactly the same. The point of using this in my mind is to really phase things away from the other oscillators so that you get a really unique sound. So if I turn this off, let's just solo this, and I turn it on, you can really see how it kind of how I shaped that sound to be a little bit different. So play around with this. This is a lot of fun to play around with. I always have variations of patches just because I changed this around so much. So let's see, and I have you probably want to notice I have a little. I put down the glide a bit. Excuse me, I had to burp. And let's see, that's pretty much it for this window. So let's continue on to Oscillator 1. That's just a silver right here for Oscillator 1. That's under digital hybrid. And sorry, wow, I really have to burp. Like I drank so much alcohol last night that's still like in my system. So and make sure you have this on Spectrum. Now it doesn't look like filter. It looks like this is in between filter 1 and 2, but it's slightly closer to filter 2. So you just want to pull this down just a little bit. And so I'll try to zoom in as much as I can in these sections right here, so you can get a good look at where these are at, because this patch is very like everything has to be in a very specific spot, because if you move any parameter around even slightly, it's just gonna have a little bit of a different sound. And in some parameters like feedback and noise, if I move this like slightly up, it's gonna sound way different. So just make sure I'll try to zoom in as much as I can for you guys. So other than that, you're just going to want to bring down the pitch down an octave. You're going to want to drop in an envelope 2 here. As a matter of fact, drop in that envelope 2 in the modulation oscillator and the other oscillators, and then drag those down an octave. So if you're in PC, just hold down Alt and drag down in these boxes, and you can go up and down octaves really quick. And if you're on Mac, you hold down Option. So for me, I hold down Option, and I could just demonstrate, like I'll just drop in an envelope 4 for no reason. So you can see how I'm just holding down Option. That would be Alt on PC, and I can go up and down octaves really quick. So just do that to save yourself some time. Drop those in all of those. Make sure you have the wavetable position all the way down, intensity up all the way, amp up all the way. And that's what's Oscillator 1. And Oscillator 2 is going to be a Polysol 1, so that's just a basic waveform. You're going to want to have this on bend minus plus, and you're going to want to have the wavetable position all the way up, intensity sort of around here. Drop in a envelope 1 into this and onto amp. So put amp up all the way and just kind of start to drag out this little envelope slightly, so the amp, you can see that little blue dot right there. So and of course you don't need to pitch this up or down, it's good just like that. And just make sure that this is routed closer to filter 2. So again, I'll try to zoom in on that so you can get a good look at that. Oscillator 3 is a vulgar wave that's under the analog electric. So it kind of took a wave from, I took a digital hybrid wave, an analog electric wave, and a basic wave, and I kind of combined those three different types of waves into this sort of sound. So it kind of has a lot of colors that kind of combine, so that's kind of cool. And so make sure this is a bend minus plus. You want to drag this up 2 octaves. And let's see, wavetable position sort of pointing at the bottom of this little corner right here in this square. Intensity sort of pointing, I guess, at this arrow, maybe. Yeah, maybe at this line. And amp is up all the way. Make sure that this is routed much, much closer to filter 2. And for our modulation oscillator, just make sure you drag this down an octave. You have phase on oscillator 3, so you can see that oscillator, we select 3, and then we phase that, and we're going to drop in an LFO into that. So yeah, there's a lot of envelopes and LFOs going on here, just because this sound, it has a lot of movement in it, so that's just what needed to happen. And so for noise, this is kind of a crucial part. We added in tape, hiss, color, and amp are up all the way, and it's routed very close to filter 2. I think there's just one little line above the box and filter 2, so kind of get that down. Feedback was important as well, so this is kind of pointing at the arrow, so the bottom part of the arrow. Dropped in that LFO again, kind of made it look like this, so just drag it from this, drop it in there, and make it look like that. And again, this is routed to filter 2. So a lot of things are being routed really close to filter 2 because filter 2 is going to high pass a lot of the signal, and then I'm going to add a macro, or I mean, envelope to kind of get the beginning parts from most of these signals in filter 2 to go up to filter 1 where we'll stay. So it's kind of like this automation thing going on, but it's not really automation, it's just envelopes. So let's just do our filters real quick. I'm going to try to get through everything in an order that makes sense when I'm making these things. So, you know, naturally I would do one oscillator, do my filters, a couple of inserts maybe, and then add in other oscillators and then see where that gets me. So let's just try to go in order. And make sure you have this little box right here in between serial and parallel routing. So this is kind of above that middle line, so you can see this is like where the middle line would be, somewhere over here maybe. So just trying to kind of get it to look like that. If not, just leave it straight in the middle. It wouldn't really matter too much. So filter 1 is a scream filter, so make sure you add that in. Kind of just copy down where the resonant and the scream are. Make sure you route these up all the way on both filters. This box right here. And I dropped in a LFO first, then a envelope 1, and I just made it look like that. And for filter 2, that's just a high pass 4, so this is going to high pass a lot of the signal, and I dropped in an envelope 2. This isn't doing anything, and reso is kind of slightly up. You can see that it's not all the way down, it's just very close to being all the way down. And then I dropped in a envelope 1, so just make sure you don't mess up any of the envelopes. So don't mix up, like put an envelope 2 here when it's really supposed to be a 1. I'm going to show you all of this. It just a lot of stuff going into it. And so then, like I was mentioning earlier, you just want to put the mix 1 and 2. So you want to put this box sort of, I guess I'll zoom in on this and you can count how many lines you need to go up. And just drop in an envelope 3 now into here. So what envelope 3 was going to do is going to start, this is pretty much the blend between filter 2 and 1, and then it's going to go all the way up, and then it's just going to stay at mix 1, and it's going to stay like that for a very long time. So it's kind of like we're starting with a blend of filter 1 and 2, and then it's just becoming only filter 1 by the end of it. So that, at least until it re-triggers itself. But that's just a little thing I like to do sometimes to get these interesting blends between these filters and the oscillators and how you route it. So I mean, Massive has a very simple but complex routing matrix. So the way you can filter or route to the filters and all that, it's very interesting, the sounds you can get. And speaking of routing, I'll do this really quick because I did change a few things here. So I put my insert 1 and insert 2 before filter 1 and filter 2. So make sure you route insert 1 before filter 2 and insert 1 before filter 1. And feedback is routed after the filter 2 and not over here after this. So these little things make some differences. It's just routing. So if I was to perhaps put my insert 1 after filter 1, it would make a big difference. Yeah, you know, it's just kind of like this preference thing when you're routing things around. This is definitely for the more advanced users of Massive. Well, anyone can really understand what's going on here, but, you know, to use it to really change a sound is, well, it takes a lot of patience, really. So, anyway, who cares? So, I guess I'll do the envelopes and the LFOs real quick, and then I'll do inserts and FX, and then I guess we're done with the Massive stuff. So, envelope 1, you're going to want to put the attack up to here, level all the way down, or all the way up, I mean. Decay somewhere around here, level, excuse me, I'm burping again. Level will be up all the way. We're going to ignore these because we don't have any loops in here. So if you ever wondered what loops are and how to use this, it's really fun. I should go more in depth So to turn it on, you just engage how many loops it will play. So if I turn this on, I know I'm going off topic, but I like to talk about massive stuff. So this will play from here to here 4 times because that's how many times I set the loop. And if I set it to infinite, it will just always continuously loop, and then you can blend in different curves. So it's sort of like a what's that kind of synthesis called? I guess it's sort of like a prime sort of thing, but not really. So you can just combine these different signals together and morph them with morph, and then S loop. You can make the length different and stuff. So, and then level. So it's really cool using these. I definitely, if you're into like drum and bass, trap, or like dubstep, definitely dubstep, you would have a lot of uses for this kind of stuff, especially on those like trying to make like a vowel sound growl. You would definitely go for these kind of things with envelopes. But anyway, we're not using any of this, so just ignore this section and set your release to here. And I don't know if this is gonna make a big difference if yours is on hold or one shot or gate, but mine is on gate. Envelope 2 is sort of similar to envelope 1, but there's just no level here. So level and decay are down all the way. Level is up all the way here in this first box, and attack is sort of around there. And release is here. So if you need to pause it to get this down, do that. I'm just going to continue to envelope 3 now. So envelope 3 is kind of like 1, but there's just like this little bit of a difference that that I had to use for these parameters here. So attack is sort of around here, levels up all the way, decay is right pointing towards over here somewhere, level is down, is up all the way. We're gonna ignore these again. Release is down all the way. So make sure you get that down. I'm gonna continue down to envelope 4. So envelope 4 is our amp envelope pretty much. So attack is around here, levels sort of up all the way. Decay is kind of pointing at the A a little bit. Levels pointing at the L. And release is sort of around here. So just make sure it looks like this. So this is like our main envelope that controls the amp, and the amp is the amplitude. So it's like, this is like controlling everything the same way that the filters control everything. That's the oscillators. Amp controls all of it. So to make any sense of that, amp is at the end of the routing no matter what. So everything goes into the amp at some point, and it needs to go through there to be heard. So let's see. And so we did LFO envelope 4. Let's do our only LFO, which is 5. So this is going to be, you're going to have to definitely set it to a rate that you like. I didn't sync it to any specific time. I just kind of did it by what sounded right. So it's kind of past the E. So just really play around with that. I didn't change anything over here, except I brought the X fade curve up all the way, so it's just a sine wave LFO. If I did want to sync it, I did like playing with the 1/8, the 1/8. So I really did like that sound. It's just really choppy, and I really like that. So I think I did a variation save of this patch, or I'll do that right now because I do like that. So I'll just write an LFO. Yeah, just LFO, whatever. And let's see, I'll go back into my presets here. I'll just click on 8. So yeah, now we're back. So only difference is that it's not synced, it's on a custom LFO. Amp is up all the way, restart is on. So that's all I did there. Okay, so now that we got a big chunk of most of the things that are crucial to this, let's just do inserts and FX, and we're done with massive. So I know there's a lot of stuff. It's just a very, I like this patch to demonstrate a lot of massives, like different uses, because I definitely had to use a lot of the lesser known things inside a massive to get this sound, even though it's not exactly like the original. So I would definitely like to learn how he did that. I'm sure it's much more simpler than this, but again, I'm using one patch. So Hopefully while I was talking, you got a sine shaper into insert 1 and a parabolic shaper into 2. So just make sure with insert 2 that dry, wet, and drive are up all the way. And in insert 1, dry, wet is all the way down, and drive is sort of around here, and you're going to want to drop in that envelope 1 into these. So just make it look like that, and you're all good. So let's go FX1 now. FX1 is just a tele tube. So I definitely tried out all these tubes and a whole bunch of stuff. I was definitely trying out a lot of things, but tele tube was the one I liked the most for this one. And you're going to drop in this LFO5 into those first boxes and make it just look like that. So if you need to pause the video to get it to look like that, go ahead and do that right now. I'm just going to continue into Reverb 2, FX2, which is a reverb. So it's not a small reverb, it's just regular old reverb. You can have this off because you're going to probably want to use an external reverb to match that same sound. The reverb here is just to add a little bit of a room, or just like a little bit of a tail, really. So dry, wet's almost all the way down. Size is sort of pointing over here. Density is kind of pointing at the eye, and color is just all the way. And EQ here, I brought the high shelf up a bit. Frequency and boost are kind of around the same position, just going down this way. And for our low shelf, I dropped in a envelope 3 here and just brought it down. So pretty much that's it. That's everything that's massive related. And just make sure you're not clipping inside of massive. So you can see I'm right down the middle, and I'm not clipping inside of massive. So that's crucial right there. And I just have a regular old EQ here that I'm just gonna take out a lot of the low signal. So just like that, I'm kind of cutting things beneath 177 hertz. I am boosting everything from 177 to sort of around 1K by like 1.86 dB. And let's see, I'm taking a little cut out. Oh, it's actually a big cut of -6 dB at 1K. So I'm just taking out that kind of like that noisy area. And I have this, let's see, I actually don't really have anything going on this fourth band. So I'm just going to reset that. And if you want to take out another little bit of signal, let me see, let me put this back on bell. If you want to take out some signal here at 3.5K, that's kind of like a noisy area as well. It just gives you that cleaner sound. So what I like about this original sound, it sounds so clean, but has like, it's like the clean, dirty sound. Every time I listen to the original, then I listen to mine, I'm always like, people are gonna think that's so not close. But I mean, whatever. It's really hard to replicate someone else's work, especially after it's mixed and mastered. And so with utility here is the last thing I did on this channel right here. I added on utility just to add a little bit like wideness and some gain. So I didn't make it too much, a lot wider. So really you don't need to do this, but if you want to copy this down for just because I have it, go ahead. So width is 103%. I added about 2 dB of gain, and I turned on this DC little like switch. So that's pretty much all I did here. Very simple. There's no grouping, no nothing. There's nothing on my master. The only thing that I did in addition to that, so now I press tab and I'm in this window. I made a send for my sound, so I sent all my signal to A. And in A, what I did was I used this very old school reverb trick with a gate. So pretty much I'm sending all my signal here. It's going to play through a reverb, and the reverb's going to be sidechain gated to the original signal. And so every time a note plays here, the gate will open and let the reverb play. And every time a note stops playing, so there's nothing here playing, then the gate's going to be closed and there's going to be no reverb tail. So it's just like a way to have a big reverb and then close it off when it stops playing notes. So pretty much to do that, and then you mix it all back in with your level. So I'm somewhere around -4 dB here, and right here I'm at -9 dB. So just you want to add on a reverb first, obviously. So I have a low cut and a high cut here. So my low cut is around 600 hertz. My high cut is around 8K. No pre-delay. Let's see, I turned off spin and chorus. Stereo is up all the way. Decay time is at 3.79 seconds. I didn't do anything to the diffusion network or any of these things right down here. I brought down diffuse to -0.7 dB, and reflect is up all the way. Dry wet is at 60%. So it's a very big reverb, and if I turn off the gate, you can hear that like tail after I press pause. So you can hear it still going. And with the gate now, I'm going to press play and then I'm going to stop it, and you're going to hear that reverb close right away. See how there's no tail? It just keeps it very clean. So you're going to want to add on a gate and open it up and sidechain the original signal. So the same way I'm sending signal to A, I'm going to take here audio from Massive 3. So it's this one. So it's going to sidechain to itself. And it's going to open the reverb when this is playing, and it's going to close the reverb when this is not playing. So other than that, you want to set your threshold to a good level of like around -20 dB. Return is at 19 dB. Attack is at 3.5 milliseconds. Hold is at 10 milliseconds. Release is at 280 milliseconds. So the release is kind of where you get the nice sweet spot. If the release was all the way down at 0 milliseconds, then it would sound very abrupt when you stop playing that signal. It's just going to sound like da 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 da, and it's just going to sound really weird. So you want to set like a sort of long or a quick, this is really a quick release, but you want to set a release that's not too abrupt. And then floor is at -40 dB. So I know this was probably a long tutorial, so just had a lot to talk about on this. Follow me on my new Twitter account if you want to ask me for anything about producing and questions and requests. I made my Twitter account just for everything that's Ksade related, so shoot me up there. I have like no followers, so I would like to have some followers. And again, just check the description below for links to everything I was mentioning earlier. Some the MIDI notes, you'll get that. All these patches I made trying to get this sound. And happy holidays, you guys.